Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Motherlode 4 with both Tyrannical and Teeming as Affliction. With the recent nerfs to Destruction, Affliction has gained a lot of ground on it DPS-wise, as well as its overall use in Mythic Plus compared to it before the nerfs. With BFA being so close to launch, I wanted to take one final look at Affliction in Mythic Plus at 120. This is a build that I've been running for most of Mythic Plus content as Affliction. Drain Soul has been the go-to talent in the first row for Affliction in Mythic Plus, as shard sniping is still very powerful. I have been using Sow the Seeds in instances with a high trash count and have been a bit more impressed with it than I thought I would be. It was buffed recently by 2%, but even before that, its damage was buffed to compensate for the Sow the Seeds nerf heading into BFA. Grimoire of Sacrifice has been my go-to talent in the level 90 row, but I think this will change at times in certain dungeons for Haunt as well as in higher Tyrannical settings. Absolute Corruption versus Writhe and Agony has been the main point of interest and debate for a good portion of beta. With our secondary stats being so low compared to where they are on live, managing Agony in addition to Corruption on 4 or more targets really becomes much harder with the creeping death talent. Having Absolute Corruption as your choice in the level 30 role really relieves a lot of that stress, as well as frees up a large bit of GCDs for unstable Affliction casts and other things of the sort. The damage bonus from Absolute Corruption is nice as well, and I have found it to be the most useful in Mythic Plus. There are certain dungeons where you'll take Writhe and Agony over Absolute Corruption, as most of the polls then consist of 2 to 3 mob packs, but it's only a few select dungeons and falls in the same category of the Haunt versus Grimoire of Sacrifice debate. One thing about the Motherlode is that there's a great deal of trash present, which means a good bit of it is actually skippable. By clearing out most of the trash at the start, you're then able to use a failure detection pylon or a soul stone to skip all the trash after the second and third bosses, which makes the dungeon much quicker than it would actually seem. If you aren't interested in the trash bowls we made and just really the bosses, I'll have timestamps in the description below so you can skip right to each and every boss. The first boss is the coin-operated crowd pummeler, and he has a few mechanics that you need to be aware of. Make sure to avoid the large frontal smash he does, which is easily avoidable with the demonic gateway if you can place it before the encounter actually begins. You will also need to kick the bombs that he periodically throws on the floor back at him, which then make him take increased damage for a certain period during the fight.
Lethal force. Damaging this unit violates the terms of use. Voltage increase. Damaging this unit violates voltage increase.
The Windwalker Monk finished at 16.2k DPS, followed by us at 14.5k and the Warrior at 14k. If we had held Dark Lair to a later point in the fight, it would have had a much higher overall damage output, but I was not too sure how long the fight would actually last, so I opted just to use it on pull instead. Unstable Affliction was our main source of damage, followed by Grimoire of Sacrifice, Corruption, and then Agony. With the boss taking increased damage at certain points during the fight, certain abilities such as Grimoire of Sacrifice here have a bit higher of a contribution than we're used to seeing on a single target encounter. Now we opted to simply AoE down the ads that are part of the Azerrok encounter due to the fact that our group was well suited to do so and had not encountered any issues doing so in previous runs. With that being said, you can also CC some of the ads very similar to the Morose encounter in Lower Karazhan by using the totems in front of the boss. A Warlock can also banish one of the ads, effectively removing it for the duration of the encounter. The Windwalker Monk finished first at 13.5k, followed closely by the Warrior at 13.3k, and then myself at 10.8k. If we take a look at the damage dealt to the ads, however, on pull, we will see that both the Monk and the Warrior did over 2 times the damage I did to them, as they are much better suited for fast AoE. I wanted to use them for resources mostly via Agony shard generation, but they simply just died too fast. This time we see Corruption as our second highest ability, followed then by Agony and Grimoire of Sacrifice. Having all the ads present on pull allowed us to apply Corruption to each one and the boss. Even though they did not live very long, with Corruption not having a ramp up time like Agony does, it really dealt a large portion of its damage very quickly. Rixxa Fluxflame was the third boss, and the encounter is much easier if you stand in or near melee. Doing so makes it much easier to see the frontal abilities that need to be dodged during the encounter, but just make sure not to become trapped by the pools of Azerite she drops on the ground. The Windwalker Monk finished the fight at 9.5k DPS, followed by us at 9.2k DPS, and the Warrior in third at 7.9k DPS. Grimoire of Sacrifice was our second highest source of damage, followed by Drain, Soul, Corruption, and then Agony. Darkflare's damage is right behind Agony, but you need to keep in mind that the increased duration of all our active dots is not accounted for under its damage specifically, so its actual damage contribution is much higher than what's actually displayed here. Mogul Raz Dunk is the final encounter in the Motherlode, and it is a multi-phase encounter. Keeping Agony rolling at max stacks is very important in his aerial phase, which is phase 2 for when he lands, thus starting phase 3. DPS wise, we finished in first at 8.7k DPS, followed by the Windwalker at 8.4k and the Warrior at 8.4k as well. Mogul's breakdown has Grimoire of Sacrifice as the second highest source of damage, followed by Corruption, Drain Soul, and then Agony. With there being a few adds present in addition to Corruption being permanent, we can expect Corruption to have a slightly larger contribution to what we're normally used to seeing here. Maintaining Agony on Mogul over the course of Phase 2 leads to you being able to cast multiple unstable afflictions when Phase 3 begins, so make sure to watch your Agony timers while he's in the air. The overall trash damage from the run has us in first at 11.2 million damage, followed by the Warrior at 10.1 million and the Windwalker at 9.6 million damage. The actual breakdown for trash shows that Seeded Corruption was our largest source of damage by a large margin if you factor in Corruption's damage as well, at roughly 68%. With the Motherlode having so many pulls that can be made early on consisting of 6 to 10 mobs or even more, Seeded Corruption and Absolute Corruption really excel here, and this was in a Tyrannical setting and not fortified either. Even in dungeons consisting of smaller trash pulls, Absolute Corruption makes maintaining both Agony and Corruption obviously much easier and manageable than without it. With that being said, this is the build that I'm hoping to gravitate towards in early BFA Mythic Plus scenarios most of the time. I do feel that in certain dungeons, both Haunt and Wrath and Agony are going to be go-to choices as well, depending on if it's a Tyrannical week or if the pack of trash present consists of 2 to 3 mobs with higher health pools and not the 6+ smaller health pool mobs like you see here in the Motherlode. With the loss of Soul Flame and Nerf to Sow the Seeds heading into BFA, I was a bit worried about Affliction's AoE damage. While it still might be not as strong as some melee classes or burst DPS range classes, its sustained AoE damage is some of, if not the best in the game currently, I feel, with Absolute Corruption. It will be especially useful on 45 weeks in dungeons like the Motherlode and Wakecrest Manor where there's a massive amount of trash present. I feel that after the nerfs to Destruction this week, that both Affliction and Destruction are much closer now when it comes to Mythic Plus and BFA. I do feel that Destruction excels a bit more on weeks of trash should not be living as long, as the burst damage of Cataclysm in the Channel Demon Fire and then a Havoc window is very strong. But in weeks of trash to be living for a bit longer, or dungeons with a very large amount of trash, I feel that Affliction will be the preferred choice for running the Absolute Corruption build we see here. On the odd week of both Tyrannical and Teeming like we see here, I think the swap to Haunt over Grimoire of Sacrifice can be made in a higher setting to gain a bit more boss damage as well. Overall, I feel that both Affliction and Destruction are in great places heading into BFA. I do feel that both bring a lot to the table toolkit wise, and both are pretty customizable for different Mythic Plus builds, or if your group is looking for a specific niche kind of build. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this gave y'all a much better look at Affliction in Mythic Plus and in BFA in general. I will be releasing the final Demonology Mythic Plus video covering the build I feel is best suited for BFA, as well as my final thoughts on it soon, so if you want to see that, make sure to check back soon. If you guys want to see more WoW and BFA content, remember to smash those like, share, and subscribe buttons, as your support really helps. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see y'all really soon in Battle for Azeroth. Peace.